10 miles south of the Grand Canyon, Carletta Toulouse drives through scrub forest on land once owned by her Havasupai tribe. Her destination is a site essential to her people's relationship with the majestic Grand Canyon.
The Havasupai creation story says that we originated a few miles from here in this mountain called Wigadwisa.
The Havasupai's spiritual gathering place sits at the mountain's base. For hundreds of years, tribal members have made pilgrimages to the spot. But now, Toulouse fears the Havasupai's sacred lands and the Grand Canyon itself are in danger of being marred by a new boom in uranium mining, not seen in the area for decades.
This is where all this area has highly rich uranium ore underneath where we're standing at. And that's what international mining companies are looking for.
In January of 2012, Interior Secretary Ken Salazar announced a 20-year moratorium on new uranium mining in the Grand Canyon region. Headlines led the American public to believe that mining around the Grand Canyon was off the table. But the truth is, uranium mining, like the Arizona 1 mine seen here, is already happening on the edge of the Grand Canyon. Salazar's decision applied only to future mining claims, not those already in place. And with the demand for nuclear fuel growing around the world, mining companies smell money in the air and are reviving interest in their old claims. Just a few miles from the Havasupai's sacred mountain, Canada's Denison Mines Corporation is dusting the cobwebs off its nearly 30-year-old canyon mine. The mine is one of 4 mothballed uranium mines Denison has proposed reopening near the canyon, and they're not the only ones moving forward.
Well, at the time of the withdrawal, we have approximately 3,500 claims throughout the withdrawal area.
Denison recently sold its U.S. assets to another Canadian company, Energy Fuels Incorporated. The companies have done little to assuage opponents' fears that increased mining will contaminate the region's water and negatively impact tourism. In fact, the company plans to open Canyon Mine using a grossly outdated plan of operations. That's the document that outlines a response to worst-case scenarios, like a uranium truck turning over or water contamination. The same can be said for the government's environmental review documents, last approved in 1986.
The first really good integrated understanding of the directions and magnitudes at which water flows through these aquifers didn't really happen until the late 90s.
So here we are at Dripping Springs, one of the incredibly unique micro-ecosystems within Grand Canyon. And we're within a few miles of places that have been proposed for uranium drilling.
Steve Martin was an outspoken critic of uranium mining during his tenure as the superintendent of Grand Canyon National Park. He is intimately familiar with the canyon's fragile natural balance and the impacts industrial development could have on it. In the Grand Canyon region, uranium is contained in long, naturally occurring columns that run through the underground rock. But mining's intense fracturing can dislodge the deposits, flushing them into nearby water systems.
It could take hundreds to thousands of years to truly get the contamination out once it's here.
This is exactly what happened in the early 1980s, when uranium from a mine located inside the national park contaminated a nearby creek. To this day, a sign downstream warns visitors of the lingering effects of that contamination.
We need to have really good plans in place that the public and scientists and others have reviewed to make sure that it appears to be the absolute best practices.
Denison declined our offer to comment, but Energy Fuels noted that mining has changed over time and that its plan of operations was recently reapproved. But the Bureau of Land Management's Scott Florence confirmed his agency is willing to accept old environmental studies.
Well, that's our position, yeah.
We can't depend on what happened 30 years ago. Science has changed, the world has changed, economy has changed since then.
Mining is already happening around the Grand Canyon. Time is running out to make sure that if there's more, it happens responsibly. The Interior Department and the Forest Service have full authority to make sure companies use best practices when mining, but they have no plans to do so. However, mining opponents like Carletta Toulouse are not deterred. Lucy knows that if she can get the public to see that one of the world's iconic treasures is at risk, Denison would be pressured to mine responsibly, or even not at all.
There's uranium mining happening on the North Rim right now, and there's going to be another uranium mine on the South Rim. I think a lot of people need to be educated about what's happening to a natural wonder of the world.